Good evening. My name is Brother Lewis Montgomery. I'm the historian for Kappa Phi Lambda. I am pleased to interview one of our senior brothers this evening, Brother Lewis Baker. Brother Baker, great to see you.
Great to see you too, brother.
Absolutely. And I'm joined during this interview by Brother Richard Alexander, who is also a member of the Historical Committee. He will be participating in the interview. How are you this evening, Brother Alexander?
Doing just fine.
Fantastic. Brother Baker, excited to learn your story. Tell us where you're from and where'd you go to college?
I'm from Portsmouth, Virginia. I grew up in Tidewater, Virginia through high school. Two parents, mother and father, are Hamptonians, and they instilled in me the idea of higher education. So there was no doubt that I was going to go to school, but it was a matter of where. Now, all my friends were at Hampton, at Howard, and so forth. And I'm typically a contrarian, so I went to Bradley.
Bradley is in Illinois?
Peoria, Illinois.
So how'd you choose Bradley of all possible places?
Well, because I was a sort of an impulsive guy. However, one of my parents' classmates' son had gone to Bradley, and he was a psychology major, and they had good things to say about it, or at least they were proud of him going to Bradley. Okay. Now I went to Bradley simply because I grew up in the segregated South.
Sure.
And I realized that was not going to be my world, whatever, and I needed to jump off in the deep end, and so that's why I ended up at Bradley.
Okay, nice. So when you arrived on campus, was there anyone there that you knew?
No.
No, wow. That was quite gutsy on your part to go to the Midwest and to a school, a predominantly white institution where you didn't know anybody.
Well, that didn't bother me too much. But when I got there, I was a little disappointed in the diversity of the campus. We had about 4,000 students there, a little over 4,000 students there, and we had 39 Black students on campus.
Really? So that's like, but my math is right, that's about 1%.
1%.
Wow, actually slightly less than 1%.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the biggest adjustment I had to make, and
sure.
And also recognizing that it was on me. And I mean, the counselors, my freshman counselor, and I'm talking about, I was an engineering major because I was smart. I like my numbers, and I like my physics, and I like my chemistry. So I was going to be a civil engineer. In freshman counseling, he gave me some subjects. I had calculus, I had physics, I had engineering graphics. I had 19 hours of very difficult courses. I said to my counselor, I'd like to take college algebra, chemistry, and the other courses. He said, no, you scored well in your math, and this is what you should do. That was the last time I talked to my counselor. I ended up with those courses. I was smart enough to delete a few of them from my speed test, so to speak, and I survived that first semester. Second semester, I made my own schedule out, and I took a few engineering courses and speech courses, and the background courses. And that's pretty much how I entered Bradley.
Okay, great. So you mentioned engineering. What type of engineering did you major in?
I was going to build bridges.
Oh, so is that structural or civil?
That would be civil engineering at the time. I didn't remain an engineering major.
Okay, got it. So when you graduated, what was your major?
Graduation was more important than being an engineer at the time, because I said, come hell or high water, I'm going to get a degree from Bradley University.
Sure.
I got a degree in accounting.
Okay.
Ah.
All right, very good. And so what year did you start at Bradley?
What year?
Yeah, what year did you start there?
1963.
63, okay.
And there was this group of guys, I'm going into why I became an Alpha. But there was this group of guys who were pretty tight. They hung together fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
And they were a group that you sort of wanted to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
They had good grades. They had diverse majors. And they lived in a fraternity house.
An Alpha house?
It was the Alpha House.
Really?
1963 Alpha House on 1603 West Main Street, Peoria, Illinois. And we were able to pledge as freshmen. We could pledge our fraternity at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was smart enough to know that I couldn't carry that load and pledge a fraternity all at the same time. So I pledged first semester of my sophomore year.
Okay.
And at that time, I realized that I better be taking some of these business courses instead of all these engineering courses. So I pledged in December. Well, I pledged fall of 64.
Okay.
And just think about this. I went over December 11, 64, 58 years ago. The fraternity was 58 years old when I went over.
Oh, that's pretty amazing. Wow.
So that means that, what does that mean? Is the fraternity old or am I old?
Very nice, very nice. Did you have any other family members who happen to be Alphas?
My brother's an Alpha. He went to Beta chapter at Howard, and he was a civil engineer major. And he pledged in 63, the year before I did. Even though he was 3 years ahead of me in school, he pledged a year before I did. And he was not necessarily the influence for me to pledge Alpha. It was the social situation that I was in at Bradley that caused me to pledge. But I'm happy to have a brother in Alpha.
Nice.
Great.
Yeah. What chapter did you pledge at Bradley?
Bradley was Epsilon Kappa. It is still Epsilon Kappa. In fact, last year I went up to the 60th anniversary of Epsilon Kappa. I'd gone to the 50th anniversary of Epsilon Kappa being founded. And it is really, really important that you get those contacts as much as possible, because everybody who was there for the 50th wasn't there for the 60th.
Sure.
And I convinced some brothers to come. I said, I might not get to see you again.
True.
And so we got together in April of 2022. And in July, one of my brothers passed. One of the brothers who attended passed. So it's important to keep those contacts.
Yes, absolutely. So the chapter was chartered just a few years before you joined.
It started in 61. It was notoriously known for having the best GPA on campus of all the Greek letter organizations.
Nice. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Brother Alexander, why don't you ask the next question, because we covered the first several already.
Yeah, I guess some of your best memories, as a college brother, as a.
Now, is this supposed to be intellectual or?
It can be a little of both.
This is real.
Yes.
This is real as you want to make it.
Yeah. Okay.
We're in Peoria, Illinois, and we have about 1% of the student population is Black. But there's a city of Peoria, Illinois. That's the home of Richard Pryor.
Yes.
Oh, right.
And there were always social activities going on down the hill. And my little brother had a little motor scooter, and we went down the hill to party that weekend. That was fine. but coming back up the hill on that motor scooter on the ice was interesting, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my fondest memories.
Mm-hmm.
How to get back up the hill.
Sure.
But I had some interesting brothers. There were some great athletes in the fraternity. Reggie, he was a basketball player, and he was smaller than I was, but he played ball, and had a physics major. And then we had Clayton McKendra, who was Clayton was a physics major, and David was David a physics major? He was a physics major also.
Okay. Nice. So with a population of only 1% Black, how many brothers were on your line? How many brothers also crossed with you?
Nobody crossed with me.
You pledged by yourself?
What?
Nobody crossed with me.
Okay.
I was numero uno. I was the beginning and the end.
Wow. Well, how many started with you?
No.
5.
I was the only one that went over on my line. I was the only one that started on my line. And we had probably 10 or 12 brothers in the chapter at that time.
Ah.
But there was an advantage in being the only one online.
What was the advantage?
Unity.
Very, very true. Hey, you didn't have to worry about anybody not keeping up with things. You knew if there was a problem, you knew who the problem was.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's great. All right. So you're Peoria, Illinois. What year did you graduate from Bradley?
67.
1967. Vietnam War was heating up. Tet Offensive, as I recall. After you graduated with your accounting degree, what did you do?
I got a job in accounting at Armstrong World Industries. They made floors and
floors, yeah.
The
Armstrong flooring,
linoleum, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
I got a job there, and Uncle Sam was coming after me, for sure. And I had when I was like 15 to 16 years old, I had a bout with asthma. And I asked my doctor to send me something about my asthma, and he sent it on a prescription pad. I treated him for asthma in such and such a year, and I got a deferment based on that.
Okay, good for you.
For asthma, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So where did you work? So Armstrong Industries, where did you work with them?
Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I like to call myself one of the first Dutchmen, Black Dutchmen.
That's Amish country.
Black Amish, yeah. I'm sorry, not Black Dutchman, but Black Amish.
Amish.
Got it. Okay.
It was recognizing the time. Everything I did was a first. The first Black person hit the first Black person there, and it was sort of the fishbowl effect. And I found out that I didn't care for accounting, mainly because I didn't like the people in accounting. I just didn't like them.
Right.
And I had enough rapport with the control of the company. I went down to the corner office and I said, any chance of me getting into the sales force for this coming year? He said, okay. So I got into sales and marketing, got a chance to go to LA, Houston, and came back to Lancaster, changed jobs and worked in different places. Columbia. That's awfully annoying. Okay, thank you.
So you were saying about I heard you say Columbia. So how did you happen to come to Howard County?
I was looking for work in 1980-81. I'd gone back to Lancaster, Pennsylvania after Houston. I was partner, a part owner of a small engineering firm, because that was my love. Engineering was my love, and I knew the principal owner of the firm, and he said, I need a treasurer, and I need a marketing person. So I became the director of marketing and the treasurer, and we fought a lot. The director of marketing and the treasurer fought a lot. That's me fighting with me.
You're fighting with yourself, okay.
But that was fun. And the bottom fell out of the economy, and I was the only non-professional engineer in an engineering firm. So I said, hey, I need to move. And I found a job working in the furniture industry, work with a...
So say again, brother, how you were looking for a job. So how did you ultimately land here in Columbia, Maryland?
I've been selling to the architecture and design community the ceiling systems products, and there was a similar customer in the furniture industry. Designers, architect, bought contract furniture. So I ended up doing that for quite a while. I thought I'd be in Columbia for 3 or 4 years, because I moved around a lot. But that was in 1984, and I'm still here.
Okay, so you moved here in 1984. Okay, good. So how did you get connected with Kappa Phi Lambda?
It was an Alpha chapter in Columbia. That's how I got connected. But because of my travel and I didn't really get connected with Kappa Phi Lambda until close to retirement. So from 84 to 2010, I was active 2 years at Delta Lambda, but I travel too much. I just travel too much, and then you come home on the weekends, and then there's house repairs to do. It was not something that I made time for.
Sure, understand. So what ultimately got you involved with Kappa Phi Lambda? Who was your connection to our chapter?
I had no connection.
You had no connection?
I walked into the meeting, saw Harry Evans and a few other people say, I'm an Alpha, I want to join this chapter.
Okay.
That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, nice. So tell us about...
I haven't even seen you, Richard. I don't know.
Well, yeah, back then, because, Harry and I are from the same area. So, yeah, but
Yeah, nice. So it was about 2010, I heard you say, 2010?
I think 2010. My initial thing when I joined the chapter, I said I had to get involved with young people, so I got involved with Alpha Achievers.
Nice.
And I got on the golf committee in those years. I chaired it 1 year. But Alpha Achievers is where my heart is. Because I think that's where we can have a huge influence.
Sure, absolutely. You mentioned golf, and I know you're a very avid golfer. Do you have any great golf highlights that you'd like to share?
Well, there's something. Yeah, there's a story I'll tell you. I joined the senior league at Forest Park, senior men's league at Forest Park, probably 10, 12 years ago. And I said, my gosh, these old guys are still playing golf. Wow. They can't put a tee in the ground, but they're still playing golf. Well, I went out yesterday to play golf, and I have a little hamstring injury, and I couldn't put a tee in the ground. So here comes, I'm the old man now. Can't put the tee in the ground, can't get my ball out of the hole. So hopefully this hamstring gets better. That's a golf story. And of course, we have to talk about how great I am.
Well, I've heard rumor that you've had multiple holes in one.
Yeah, multiple. Absolutely. It does qualify as multiple. I've had 2 holes in one.
Wow.
That is multiple.
Incredible.
But I find when I have come to peace with golf, I will never be good at golf, but I'll always enjoy golf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that really what it's all about? None of us are professionals. They call it recreation, which is another word for fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Recreate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, good. Brother Alexander, I know you had another question for Brother Baker.
Well, and I guess that goes along with some of the golf. But what are your best memories of being an Alpha?
You know, the best memory of being an Alpha happened my sophomore year in college. Your sophomore, junior year. Might have been my senior year in college. 1966, the General Convention was in St. Louis, Missouri.
Hmm.
It was the 60th anniversary of Alpha Phi Alpha. And I went there and I met all of these distinguished brothers. I can't call them by names, but the civil rights leaders were there.
Sure. Buddy Andrew Young was probably there.
Andrew Young was there. Johnson was there. There were just so many people of substance there that it was very impressive. So that's one of my best memories of being an Alpha.
Nice.
Wow.
It caught me at the right time.
Yeah, that's good. You mentioned St. Louis. That's my hometown.
Yeah. Oh, my condolences. Oh.
True. Very true. In fact, did you ever get to St. Louis from Peoria?
Yes.
Okay.
We went down. I went down to Carbondale.
Okay.
Another weekend trip. Educational thing, of course.
Sure, of course. Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine you spent a little time in Chicago as well.
Yeah, I can talk about, oh gosh, I can tell you stories about that too. But down in Carbondale, home of Southern Illinois University. And there was this party, of course, and I lost my pen. Lost my pen. And the brothers said, Brother Baker's lost his pen. Let's find it for him. And all of the brothers got together and we walked the floor and somebody found my Alpha pen.
That's wonderful.
Boy, wonderful.
Yeah, that's great stuff.
I mean, that's also brotherhood was about, because
brotherhood.
Yes, indeed. Well, Brother Baker, as you know, our fraternity was the first Black Greek letter organization, founded in 1906, so more than a century ago. Why do you feel that Alpha Phi Alpha is still relevant and important today?
Well, I think Kappa Phi Lambda can be a good reason why Alpha Phi Alpha is influential today. To the extent that we allow ourselves to evolve and be relevant to the times. That is happening at Kappa Phi Lambda, simply because we have people like yourself are coming in and we're doing something that nobody else would do in oral history like this, probably because you have the skill to do it. And we are letting you do that. You are the historian. You are, how long you've been in the chapter? 3 years?
A little over 3 years, yes, sir. Fall 19. And
you're the historian. But you're providing something that's going to be terribly relevant to posterity, which wouldn't be done by old people like you, Richard.
I'm not old.
Like me.
Yeah, like you.
Nice. Well, thank you for that, Brother Baker. But I tell you, I'm honored to do this work because brothers like you, Brother Alexander, and other brothers who've gone before us have really laid the foundation. Brother Jennings was one of our first interviews, and he said something that resonated with me, which has become the theme for this oral history project, and it's standing on the shoulders of giants. And you, Brother Alexander, Brother Andrew Young, Brother Dr. Martin Luther King, our 7 jewels or giants. And brothers like me that have just come along recently, we're standing on your shoulders, and we're honored by what you've been able to do for us and for our society.
You know, as long as we continue to build men of character, that is so important.
Indeed, indeed. Brother Baker, we want to give you the last word. Anything else, anything you'd like to share before we wrap up this interview?
No, I think I've said pretty much everything I had to say, and how I feel about Alpha Phi Alpha is it really allows you to be in a, oh gosh, this sounds, in a loving community that is relevant, and then we're in this community, but we're also concerned about our outside community.
Right.
Yeah. And we continue to try to be an important cog in the wheel of what's going on in Howard County and in the United States and in the world. That's what Alpha Phi Alpha is about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Well, Brother Baker, we want to thank you again for your time and sharing your story, and for your 60, was it 60, how many years? No, 58 years.
58 years.
58 years in the fraternity. That is quite an accomplishment. I hope to live long enough to make 58 years, but congratulations to you for having done it.
An excellent accomplishment, Brother Baker. You are a legend in our minds.
All right. Well, listen, thank you again, Brother Baker. Brother Alexander, appreciate your participation as well.
Definitely. Enjoyed it.
06.
06.
06.
06.